This is the Paranormal Report. Hey, Dar, how you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing fine, and if you didn't know, this is the Paranormal Report, the show so dangerous that YouTube refuses to promote us, even when we're willing to pay, going through their legally sanctioned and approved process. They said, no. Last week, our show was named Paranormal Pork because, a lot of times if we title it UFOs or Trump signed something about UFOs or something, they'll say politics. So we thought, what could be political about pork? Well, I guess there's
something
pork.
Is.
Pork
they
spending
don't like the
they talk
bacon
about in Congress. I don't know.
So they would not sponsor that. They would not promote
They will not promote the show. They'll promote my other shows, no problem. But this show, for some reason,
it's me.
I don't know. It's
fine.
not you. In fact, somebody commented on YouTube saying you are the show, which I tend to agree with.
And they would be wrong because the show is us, and it's what we do best. We riff off each other, and that's that. So people would hate it if it was just me. Please.
People would hate it if it were just me. And the thing is that
you have a successful. You have a number of successful
not for this
just
show.
you
Not
shows.
For this show. No, not for this show.
All right,
it's all you. It's all about you. But this first story is all about Ross Coulthart from News Nation.
This is kind of interesting.
Now,
I don't know. I didn't read all of it, so
he does
enlighten
this
me.
Regular YouTube show. And he just kind of put it in the middle there, and I'm just going to read a little bit from the transcript. And again, we'll have the link in the show notes, and certainly watch Ross's work on YouTube and also on News Nation. But he said, I want to cause a bit of mischief with the U.S. government. I've just been somewhere in the United States where I know there is another portal, because they were talking about another possible interdimensional portal, and I know the United States knows about it. And I was there just the other day. That's what Ross Coulthart said. And guess what? It's got a big fence around it, lots of security signs. It's supposedly U.S. Forest Service. But you know what? It's not, he says. And supposedly it's ancient ruins of tribal art. And you know what? It's not. What's happening is the United States is using the U.S. Forest Service and claims of protection of archaeological relics to keep secret from the public a portal on U.S. soil. And he said to his co-host, they're making, of course, some mischief. And then they just kind of dropped it.
That's it?
That was, it might have been in here somewhere, but what it seemed like they kind of said, now on to the next thing.
You can't do that, Ross.
Well, it's kind of like when
drop a big bomb like that.
That's kind of like when
away.
the guy had Obama on and he said the aliens were real, and then he went on to
let's talk about football.
What's who's your favorite football team or whatever was next?
I don't know.
But
I am just making that up.
Yeah. So Ross Coulthart is saying there's an interdimensional portal. Now I do believe this, that the government would use whatever resources it has to mask something like that.
Oh, I believe that.
Could I find that very plausible that the U.S. Forest Service is being used to obscure it? Absolutely. So it just keeps getting curiouser and curiouser with all of those different revelations. So,
see, there's so many follow-up questions. Did you enter the portal?
I don't think so.
No. Well, see, then, we need proof.
Yes.
Go on in and come on back and report back to us.
And he's also talked about that large UFO that they built. It was so big they built a building around it. He has a lot of revelations. So
I believe, like you said, I think it's very possible the government hides a lot of things from us.
Absolutely.
Some of it warranted because national security. Yeah. I get it. And some of it not so warranted. Exactly. This I don't know what they're working on something.
Well, a lot of people believe these days, I think, that the aliens or the others are not from out there, but they're from another dimension. I think that's becoming a theory that is getting a lot of traction to. I think even Representative Luna commented recently that what we're talking about here are more interdimensional beings. So I think that's getting a lot of traction. So it kind of fits in with the way things are going, that they're not out there, but they're kind of, they're side by side to us, so to speak.
Interesting. Okay, so Luna's on the committee and Burleson's on the committee, and they're coming out with just a little drop of nuggets, right? About it being interdimensional. Are they giving us a few crumbs without drawing a lot of attention?
Perhaps. Ooh. Could be.
See how my mind works.
So you said you had a question for me. What's your question?
Yeah, Jim, do you know what a hen do is?
A hen, like a chicken. A hen do. Is that what the hairstyle of a female chicken?
Bump. Where's the? There we go. You're a little late.
Little late.
No. In the United States, it's equivalent probably to a bachelorette party.
Oh,
so this is a UK term where women will get together before the bride gets married, and they all get together. It's kind of like bachelorette, so they'll have a get together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this hen do in Scotland, caused a big uproar. So there was a group of women, and they had to leave pretty quickly because they found something unsettling in one of their photos. So they were celebrating the impending nuptials at a estate in Scotland, in Argyll and Bute, or Argyll and Bute, Bute. Sorry, I'm butchering that. I'm sorry. So they're the whole party's together. They're taking pictures and doing different poses, and some people are wearing masks, and they were doing like a bunch of pictures in quick succession too. Some of them were. Or somebody was taking the pictures, and they kind of looked back at one of the pictures, and behind a wooden stump is a little boy crouching there.
Yikes.
I saw the picture, and unless somebody photoshopped it, there is a little boy behind the stump, and it's a little scary. They're saying this aligns with the Blue Boy, and I guess this was a film that aired in the BBC in 1994, and it was about a 4-year-old who actually drowned in the loch there.
Huh.
Yeah. And the film featured Emma Thompson, and they believe it was shot in the same location where this photo was taken. These photos were taken. So it was like this little boy, and he was on holiday with his parents at the hotel, and he was sleepwalking, and apparently he fell into the loch and he drowned. And when they found his body, it was blue with cold. So hence the Blue Boy. Hotel staff noticed that things like cutlery and plates were often out of place for no reason. They find wet footprints upstairs in the corridor. So they're thinking this little boy that's crouching in their photo is the Blue Boy. I saw the picture. I will leave the link up for you guys. There is a little boy there. I don't know what he would be doing. Unless somebody, like I said, unless somebody doctored it or photoshopped it. In today's day and age, all possible. But
all possible.
It was
But
interesting.
I do think probably the majority of pictures over the years of purported ghosts have either been people mistaken or maybe unfortunately some fakes in there. But I do think that occasionally that things can be captured. I definitely do. So it'll be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see if they could have and I'm sure they won't because you have to like hire somebody and it costs a lot of money. But it would be interesting to have a photographic analysis done of something like that to see if it's
especially that photo. I wish they kind of would do that.
Yeah.
Because
and again, we'd love to show you the photo, but our friends at YouTube, they don't believe in fair use, apparently. So
not for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Many
Everybody
other people can
does
get away with things, but
it's funny how that works. Well, Ross Coulthart, we talked about him earlier, and actually we have another piece from him. And recently, Ross said that, and this makes sense, the disappearance of Major General William Neal McCausland is a grave national security crisis. He says it's of grave concern. He made some good points. Now, of course, General McCausland was very instrumental in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and so forth. And he was commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory there, where he managed the Air Force $2.2 billion science and tech program, as well as additional customer-funded research and development of $2.2 billion. So what would that be? Almost $4.5 billion. That's with a B. Of course, he's been missing since February 27th. He hasn't been found. Supposedly, he has some medical issues that could have led to this. If the reports are to be, I'm not saying that they're not to be believed, but we don't know if the health condition was tied to the disappearance. We don't know that for a fact, although that seems to be the speculation. And Ross made a good point. He says it has to be asked if there's any foul play. If you were Russia or you were China, God forbid, General Neil McCausland would be one of your targets. So I sincerely hope that's not the case. And he also says it's interesting that the FBI has been brought in, and the reason why is because the disappearance of a man like General Neil McCausland is a very, very grave concern. And he also wanted to talk about, it kind of is funny with the, not funny, but funny, strange, that it kind of correlated to public statements from the president about UFOs and directing Hegseth to open up the files and so forth. So it's interesting that he he disappeared, and he was this head of research at Wright-Patterson, where, of course, some people think that that's where they took the Roswell bodies, along with other things they did there. So, I mean, again, this could simply be a sad case of a man who had a medical issue, maybe a cognitive issue, I'm guessing. They haven't said that, but that would seem to maybe be possible. That does happen with older people. Heck, it even happens with people a little bit younger, early onset dementia and things like that. So that would seem to be the most logical case. But when you're talking about this kind of person, it's got to at least go through your mind, who knows, really. And we were talking earlier, there's a lot of weird things going on with the government these days, There was that report on 60 Minutes about that secret weapon that caused the Havana Syndrome, where it is theorized there is a weapon out there that can use microwaves to basically scramble people's brains. And it happened, I believe, in the U.S. Embassy in Havana, Cuba. And many people claim to be victims of it. The government denies it, but the research seems to indicate that this may have originally come from Russia, this weapon, and perhaps Russian assets are using it. Here's where it gets to our point, and there's some articles on this. UFO Joe from Twitter, and we have the link here, talks about the Russian connection, saying the U.S. got one of these weapons, I believe, through some kind of organized crime, acquired one of them. And UF Joe is talking about the idea that perhaps the Russians got it from a UFO crash. So it gets curiouser and curiouser. And again, we're kind of going down the rabbit hole here, and it does get a little conspiratorial. We always like to tell you these theories are out here. We're not saying that they're correct or they're incorrect. We're saying they're out there, so it's something to put in your mental calculus when you're looking at all this stuff.
Yeah, that story, I read the full story. I did not get to watch the 60 Minutes story about it. But boy, these people, and it wasn't just in Havana, it's been in other areas as well. They are suffering greatly, and the CIA completely denies all of it. And people are saying that it's a huge cover up. Yeah, like the largest CIA cover up in history. What this microwave has done to them, it's not just, right. It's like a whole bunch of neurological issues and hearing issues, and these poor people have suffered greatly. Yeah. So the UFO tie is very interesting. So they're not saying it's aliens. They're saying a craft was recovered probably in Russia.
And they retrieved this.
And they stole, but took their technology and has been working on it for decades.
This directed energy.
That's a good word.
Weapon.
I like that.
Yeah. Recovered. Yeah.
Back to
no, I wasn't saying it was. Maybe I wasn't clear, but I wasn't saying it was aliens. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's alien, but it's alien. No, I'm just joking. Back to McCausland. The other curious thing, he left without his phone or his watch.
Right.
So I don't know. You know, what I'm finding a little interesting about that story is there are really no reports if it was a cognitive issue. Like you're not really hearing anything about any of the possible alleged medical issues that could have caused this. At least nothing that I've read. Don't you think, I don't know, you'd want to put that out there? I don't know. I'm just very curious about the timing and how old was he, Jim? He's not that old, right?
65,
Isn't he only like
I think 65.
I thought he was like 71. I'm sorry.
I don't have it in front of me. I've already taken that story down, but I don't have it. He wasn't very old.
No,
he wasn't very
no.
old. He might have been 71. I should check that real quick.
I just didn't. It's just really weird to me. It's very, very weird. So I really, for his family, for everyone, I hope he's okay, and I hope they can find him unharmed. But he's been missing since February 27th, so this is not good.
68. So 68, that was exactly in the middle of what we both were saying. So it's like split the difference. But no, it is sad, and I think I don't know if it was his wife or something. I saw something. She didn't really maybe appreciate some of the. And if I don't want to quote her, but the sense was that she may not have appreciated some of this kind of speculation. And certainly, we wish the best to the family. And this could be totally.
Not. That's the last thing you want to hear. The only thing you want to hear as a family is, "Where's my loved one? Can we find him? Let's find him now." That's right. And unharmed.
But I also remember, for example, and this is decades ago, and you can look it up. William Colby, the former CIA director. Went missing when he was, I think, kayaking or something, and then they found him. And I'm like, former CIA director. This is decades ago. And it was like, boy, that's suspicious. I mean, you don't know, but it's just when you get people at those levels with those associations with those 3-letter agencies or very high in the military and these kind of secret projects potentially, your mind does tend to wonder. But regardless, bottom line is, whatever it is, we wish him the best. Yes. We wish the family, we hope he's found. But I got to say, the longer this drags on, the worse it looks.
Yeah, I don't like that. The case that you're mentioning, Colby, the case that always made me go, was Justice Scalia. I just felt the circumstances behind his death, I felt were very weird. Yeah. Just me. You never heard anything about that, but I don't know. Something made my radar go up when he was found dead in that where he it was. I don't know. Just yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Here's the. By the way, William Colby. I'll just read it from Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge. On April 27th, 1996, Colby set out from his weekend home in Rock Point, Maryland, on a solo canoe trip. His canoe was found the following day on a sandbar in Wicomico River, a tributary of the Potomac, about a quarter mile from his home. On May 6th, his body was found in a marshy river bank lying face down, not far from his canoe was found. After an autopsy, the chief medical examiner, Smilek, ruled his death to be accidental. And again, I think that, he was, 76 at the time, so he wasn't a young man. So, I mean, that is... It is very kind of possible it was just a normal death. And then other people, actually, I guess his son Carl suggested his father may have committed suicide. The point is that it just, but then another member of the family said it's not consistent with his personality. The medical examiner said he had severe calcified I can't pronounce it now. Atherosclerosis. I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Arterial sclerosis.
Oh, God, today. Yeah. Atherosclerosis.
Yes. So anyway, the point is that
everybody has that.
Yeah.
If you're at any,
older, I'm just saying, anytime you have somebody of this kind of stature and they go they disappear, the thoughts go in certain directions. Not saying that's the case, but but just saying that's something I think you naturally think about. Well, on to more pleasant matters, something actually closer to home, Dar. This is very close to home.
Exciting.
And it is exciting. Tell us about it.
Well, Canton Repository is a paper in Canton, Ohio. It's near Akron. So what about, how far from Cleveland? Not that far.
About 80 minutes.
I was going to say not quite maybe an hour away, if that.
Yeah,
not quite.
something.
But hey, look out, hikers, because in the Portage County woods, in the town of Mantua, just so you all know, if you see that spelled Mantua, we saw somebody trying to pronounce it and they call it Mantua. It's Mantua. And everybody has cities like that in their states where it's pronounced. We have Milan. It should be Milan. It's Milan. So,
and we have Lima, Ohio, not Lima, Peru.
Correct. Maybe it's an Ohio thing.
No, I think that's
guys, do you have that in your state where these cities are
where
pronounced?
My dad was from in my dad was from in West Virginia. There's like a skiing area, and you would pronounce that normally Canaan Valley if you went by like the biblical pronunciation, but
the spelling,
they call it Canaan Valley.
So I think it exists
I think
everywhere.
It's all over. Yeah. People pronounce things differently, but go ahead.
But anyway, they have found, there were a couple recent reports of Bigfoot being found in Mantua. Mantua has about 1,000 people. We've been through there at least. I know I've been through Mantua. It's a very small little village. But the Bigfoot Society has a witness, and they're saying, hey, if you're in this area, keep your eyes open. Maybe your door's locked because he's around there. March 6th and March 7th, there were 2 encounters. They didn't say if they had any photos or videos, but, quote, the witness is a head of a cryptid research organization that was out in the field in this area when they locked eyes with a 9-foot-tall brown-haired Sasquatch. That's what the Bigfoot Society posted. Quote, the terrifying thing is that this happened in the broad daylight at 12:23 p.m. And the witness was 120 yards away when the creature realized it was being watched. So it didn't make a noise, but it started to move. The report says that the Bigfoot seemed to know that the witness was there and left the area fast. And the witness said they got out quickly as well. Because if you encounter a 9-foot apex predator and they decide it's over, you don't want to stick around. So the sheriff said they made an inquiry to the sheriff in Mantua, and they forwarded it to the Portage County Sheriff Office, and there were no reports. Nobody reported it to them. And then the March 7th report was filed by someone who was walking a trail when the woods went from quiet to heavy rhythmic footsteps. I can't talk today. This is horrible. The footsteps were too low and too spaced out and way too heavy for a deer or another hiker. Quote, then just 40 yards away, a massive 8-foot-tall creature stepped out from behind the trees, dark brown hair, long arms, and it turned its face just to look directly at the hiker. This was not was this daytime? It says, unlike the daytime sighting, this one actually vocalized, said that he heard a deep echoing grunt that vibrated through the trees. After that, it was total silence. And they said that witness saw 2 large footprints pressed into the mud. So I would hope if they saw it, they took pictures of that, I hope, and forwarded it to Bigfoot. This article didn't indicate that. So I'm hoping. Let's keep fingers
to the
crossed.
Bigfoot Society, I mean. I think the Bigfoot Society you're referring to is the Bigfoot Society podcast, which is hosted by Jeremiah Byron, who has been on the shows before. We met him at Monster Fest. In fact, we probably should have him back on the show soon. We haven't done a paranormal podcast on Bigfoot in quite a while, so probably.
Oh, we have somebody possibly lined up for some different creature stuff as well.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so Jim, I don't know what do you do?
What do you do
when you come in front of a Bigfoot? What do you do?
Well, Well, luckily, the Express in the UK has answered just that question. They talked to a Bigfoot expert, and he tells us what to do. We are talking about Thomas Markham. He is a Sasquatch expert and documentarian, and he spoke to, I guess, the Daily Star, which is affiliated, I think, with the Express. And first of all, he said, why we don't see them, where we don't recover proof or those kind of things or evidence. He said that the creatures are actually frightened of humans, so they maintain their distance and immediately flee whenever they've been spotted, which makes sense. He said that it's deliberately done to avoid people as an encounter could result in their death, which would explain the shortage of concrete evidence. But to your question, I will tell you momentarily what he said here. He suggested a specific protocol. He said, if you feel threatened or you feel you're in danger, get out of the area. See, that would be me. If I saw one, let's say I'm doing something at a park, I'd pack up all my stuff real quick and I'd be like, see ya. If you can keep your composure, without a doubt, you will be somewhat rattled. Attempt to glean all the details. Look for something that might give you a height reference. That makes sense. Take note of the color of the creature. If possible, take photos or videos. He says, however, if the creature leaves the vicinity, Markham recommends individuals then look for footprints and make sure to take photographs of proof of their encounter with the elusive beast. And again, I stress, I would have one action. It would be, get the hell out of there. That would be my checklist if I saw it. I mean, I guess if I were a certain distance, I would want to take pictures, but I am certainly not going to go rooting around the woods if I just saw a Bigfoot saying, oh, you went into the woods. I'm going to chase you now and try to find more evidence.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Not me.
I wouldn't chase it. I don't know if it was quite a distance. Would I immediately run or would I stand there and stare
well,
at it?
I think, to be honest with you,
I am.
I think you would stand and stare because you would be...
Because I'd be like, what the heck is that?
It reminds me, and this has been decades ago, but my one cousin was staying with my grandma, and this had to be in the 80s. And this, where they were in West Virginia was a pretty mountainous area. And they had bear there. And the one day they had this sun porch and it was all glass windows all the way around. And the bear was right there. He's trying to get him bird feeders and stuff. It must have been the deep winter and he was hungry. It was like probably from here to, where my window is. It was like that close to the bear. And he had just gotten a nice camera for Christmas.
Oh, man.
And he took pictures, but he forgot one thing.
Oh, no,
he left
don't
the
tell
lens
me.
cap on.
Oh,
back when it was film camera.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, everybody says, oh, if I saw a UFO or I saw a Bigfoot, I would do this.
Oh,
this,
you don't
and
know
this.
really what you would do.
But you don't know what you're going to do till you're faced with the situation. It's a lot easier to say, well, I would get so many pictures. I would do this. I would do that. But
I could sit here and say, I'd stand there and stare at it, but I may not. I might
got an 8 or 9 foot Bigfoot in front of you. It'd be like,
I don't know. It depends on what he's doing, right? Is he like going to come towards me? I'm under the assumption that they don't want to be around humans as much, you know what I mean? So I feel like they would not really attack. Like, I don't feel like they would come forward.
They would flee.
Yes, they would try to get out of the, that's how I kind of was.
Well, they're pretty smart. I
would not go after them. First of all, I don't know.
Well, where's
they
that
have
one?
A right to live without...
Where's that one museum or something, or it's a zoo? Is it the Bronx Zoo or something? And they have this display, and it's like the most dangerous animal. And it has bars on it, and it has a mirror. And you look into it, and it's a human. Have you heard of this?
Interesting.
I don't even know if they have that anymore.
I think I've heard of that. I don't know if it was just an exhibit somewhere.
I don't know if they have it anymore or not. Maybe I'll Google it while we'll
have to Google that. That's interesting. No, I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
And it's true. We are the most dangerous animals. So Bigfoot, if it flees us, and stays away from it, very smart, very smart.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Well, So let's take our attention over across the pond, shall we?
We're going back. This time we're going to the Kent countryside in a quaint English village entitled Pluckley in Kent. And it's charming, but don't get fooled because I guess the place is so haunted. And our UK listeners, hey, let us know in comments and virtual campfire group if you've been there, if you've heard of this. There's like 15 ghosts that supposedly haunt this village, Pluckley. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of different things that people have seen, different witnesses. In one area, they call a road in Pluckley Fright Corner. There's an apparition of a highwayman who's there, and they think it's the ghost of a man who died in the 18th century, that he clashed with the village peacekeepers, who then, this is what kind of kills me, they pinned him to an oak tree with a sword. But you're peacemaker. Well, anyway, they claim, ghost enthusiasts claim, that the sword fight replays itself, always ending the same way. If you're deciding you want to walk in the woods, Dicky Bus's Lane, give it a wide berth because there's a corpse of a teacher who hanged himself there after the war, World War I, and the Miller Dickey found his body. There's screams of agony from the brickwork site. Yikes. Because they said a brick worker met a death there when a bunch of a wall of clay bricks fell on him and killed him. There's at the cemetery. There's a red lady who's haunting the graveyard of St. Nicholas, the local church. Lady Daring was laid there during the 1100s and entombed in a lead coffin adorned with a single red rose. And the residents see her spirit drifting through the graveyard. Apparently, she's searching for her stillborn child's final resting place.
Oh, my.
And it goes on and on. There's the Blacksmith Arms is a pub. There's 3 ghouls there, supposedly, a Tudor maid, a coachman, and a cavalier. The White Lady, we always hear about the White Lady. That's another ghost roaming St. Nicholas Church. Because her house was destroyed in a fire. Somebody was poisoned. They ate berries. They died. They're haunting the area over there. So, that seems to be, that's like the jackpot, if you if
yeah, it
you're
sounds
interested.
Like it. Sounds
the paranormal jackpot. Woohoo! Let's go.
One note about our last story. I looked it up while you were so eloquently telling us about that.
While
the
you
most dangerous animal in
okay.
the world was a 1963 exhibit at the Bronx Zoo in the Bronx. It featured a mirror and text describing the dangers humans pose to life on Earth. In 1968, the exhibit was duplicated at Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. There's been a couple of other iterations of the text, but at the top it says the most dangerous animal in the world. There's a mirror that looks like bars, so you're basically looking at yourself. Here's the text that they changed it to sometime in the early 1970s. And by the way, it was still there in 1989. I don't see any word here that it's still there. I'm guessing probably not. It's probably a little too... it would be a little too direct for people now. They would be their little feelings would get hurt. But anyway.
Pearls.
Yes. Oh no, you upset me. Oh, I can't take it. Anyway, it says, this animal, not that I have strong feelings on it, Gen X, this animal increasing at a rate of 190,000 every 24 hours is the only creature that has ever killed off entire species of other animals. Aww. Now it has the power to wipe out all life on Earth.
It does.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it totally has that power.
Chilling. Well, yep. I've got something else here that's chilling, and it's very sad. Now, we have said on the show that we believe there are legitimate psychics, people that have the power to maybe help communicate with people on the other side and these kind of things. We believe that's a real thing. And we believe that there are legitimate psychics who are well-meaning, ethical, all those good things. At the same time, we know that like any field of endeavor, there are bad apples, and there were sure some bad apples in the Ukraine. And this is according to Coast AM, written by Tim Banal, who does a great job over there. And he talks about the Ukrainian authorities busted a trio of cruel self-proclaimed clairvoyants who preyed on families of missing soldiers. They were 3 Kiev. I'm going to say Kiev now, even though now it's Kyiv apparently, but Kiev-based psychics asserted online that they could remove curses, improve one's romantic prospects, and provide answers to all questions. And that's where the real rub came in. These fake mystics saw this as an opportunity for profit by inspiring false hope and offering assurances that their husbands were alive and would soon return home. One unfortunate victim shelled out $8,500 for various means of protection, such as rituals and magic candles. Yeah. And once they got these poor women, these widows, in their clutches, they said they told them that they must follow through with all the prescribed and expensive procedures, lest even more misfortune befall their families.
Of course.
And they stand accused. Now, again, this is accused, but they stand accused of bilking their victims out of around $32,000 and have been charged with fraud. And again, go over there and read what Tim wrote. He writes about it more extensively. We'll have a link. And they do a great job over there at Coast to Coast AM, of course. But yeah, that's, I got to believe, hopefully there's a special place in hell for people who do things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how sad. They're looking for their loved ones and you are preying upon them. How horrible of a human being do you need to be? I'm sorry. You just are. You're horrible.
Pretty lousy.
That's evil. I'm sorry. It's evil to do that to somebody. Yep. Yeah. So our warning stands that we always give you. Just make sure you're going to someone reputable. Do your research, read many reviews, do word of mouth if you can.
And I think one big thing is if somebody says, okay, you're going to pay this much for a session and it's reasonable and things, I'm like, yeah, that's one thing. If they say, they keep like stringing you along and, well, for the next, it's going to be 500, 1,000, 2,000.
Yep.
It's kind of like, you just kind of use your common sense. If it's like, okay, I spend X amount of dollars for one session. It's not, too crazy. It's reasonable. And it's like, okay, that's great. Or even if you've got a follow-up. But this thing like, well, I could really help you if you gave me $2,000. Then you got to, yeah. So
no.
Buyer beware, as with everything.
Absolutely. Well, I was just about to say another warning. Warn your relatives, warn the elderly especially. If something pops up on your computer and it's telling you to call a number, that's a scam.
Yeah.
That's a scam, period. Yeah. Do not do that. Do not do that.
People
take it to a reputable company and have them wipe it.
Right.
Meaning reset the entire computer.
Or do a thorough analysis to confirm. But the thing is, you have to go to people you trust for that kind of thing. You froze for a minute, but you're back.
So did you.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Love the internet. Oh, somebody didn't like my comment. That's why it froze.
That's interesting. That's
Ooh,
very
the
interesting.
gremlins are in our internet.
Yeah,
they didn't like my comment.
Yeah.
No, it could be.
And people don't think that they can be had, but they can be had. And just be very careful with all that stuff. Be very careful with all that stuff.
Cautionary tale. Speaking of
exactly.
which.
Yes. The poor moon. What's going to happen to the moon now?
Okay. Remember last year, people, oh my God, the asteroid's going to head for Earth. It's coming to Earth. Asteroid 2024 YR4. Oh my God, it had a 1 in 83 chance of colliding with Earth in 2032. And then, the odds were getting even better. It was as high as 1 in 32. And then they're like, no, NASA's like, nope. It's going to hit the moon. It's going to hit the moon. Yeah, well, there's a new story out. It's not doing that either. They're analyzing it, and the odds at one point were 4.3%, and now they're saying it's essentially zero. It's not going to go anywhere near the moon. It's going to pass approximately 21,200 kilometers from the lunar surface. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com, and I kind of agree with this statement that they put in here, because this is how my mind was going. Quote, the saga is an example of how collision estimates can change as an object approaches and new data is collected. proving what we always say every week about science and scientists. You don't know everything, right? You have to keep learning and keep studying and keep getting data and keep getting information and stop saying, I did a study and that's it, right? Stop doing that, see? And then they even end it, they're saying there's a potential for the odds to go up as well as down, right? They're not going to know yet. It needs to get closer. They need to do more analyses, more mathematical equations, figure things out. Yeah. So, I mean, but anyway, as of now, NASA's now saying 0. It's not hitting the moon. So, but stay tuned because this seems to change every few months.
Well, this next story, it's interesting because it's chock full of people I've interviewed or people I've known or people I knew. Hollywood apparently is suddenly taking UFOs very seriously. We have that big disclosure movie that's coming out, I think is it June? Is it May or June? The Steven Spielberg one?
June, I thought.
Yeah.
Or July.
And anyway, that's going to be a huge one. But there's a new one. Producer and podcaster Bryce Zabel, who I have interviewed before, has packaged a film, I believe, with Universal Talent Agency. It's billed as the most grounded, historically anchored look at the 1947 incident yet. Sylvain White from The Boys and Fargo is supposed to direct, and it's called Unidentified, and it talks about the 1947 Roswell incident. Then it talks about the 1990s idea that these were basically dummies. And then interesting, the film focuses on nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, who I knew.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, the legend himself. Actually, I had dinner with him right after his final public appearance. And then within just a couple of days, I found out that he passed. They were doing something down in Columbus for Coast to Coast AM, one of George Norrie's stage shows. And, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who we've talked about many times in these shows, had fallen ill, and they needed a fill-in. They knew I was in Cleveland. They were in Columbus. Again, I couldn't really fill in for Rosemary, but I was a warm body, and, I could talk a little bit. So they asked me, and Stanton Friedman was also in the group of presenters that night. So afterwards, I went with him and Marianne Winkowski, Marianne, the Ghost Whisperer, and we all went to dinner. And I thought, this will be great. I'll follow up with Stanton in a couple of months. He'll actually remember who I am because I had interviewed him before, but he was interviewed by a lot of people he didn't remember.
Right.
And we had a great discussion backstage for probably at least an hour.
Wow.
So anyway, that was a Saturday, and I think Tuesday I opened up my Facebook and found out that he had passed away at the airport on the way back home from that engagement.
Oh.
That's such a weird thing. So anyway, the film does, so rest in peace, Stanton. I wish he were around. I'd love to hear what he's got to say about everything that's happened just over the last few years. Yeah. So the film focuses on Stanton and author Donald Schmidt, who worked to find out the truth behind the story. The film is partly based on Witness to Roswell, which Schmidt wrote with Thomas Carey, who I have interviewed multiple times as well. So everybody in this thing,
what do you say? You always say you're not an expert, right? Okay, yeah. I think I heard that. Yeah,
There aren't that many experts, is my belief.
Well, now, if they're going to call themselves experts, then you can call yourself an expert as well. There we go. That's all I'm saying.
We also mentioned last week, I think, a new reboot of The X-Files coming. So Hollywood is there. And then get this, Dan Farr's Age of Disclosure was apparently the highest grossing documentary of all time when it dropped in November for Prime Video, their video on demand of all time. So
I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. My point is this. When Hollywood sees money, that's going to become the fad. It doesn't matter if it's about, somebody doing jumping jacks on the moon. Whatever it is, if it's money and they see money, they're like, let's go all in on it. So I don't think it indicates any belief in the existence of aliens or interdimensional beings. I think it indicates a belief and an interest in the almighty dollar.
What about the rumors about Spielberg actually
Well, that's
having
the
knowledge
exception.
about that? So
That's the exception. Now, I'm sure Mr. Spielberg loves money like most of us. Although
he's more than welcome to come on the show and talk to us about it.
Oh, I would love that. And I think the
chances of that are also zero. The moon
the snowball's
and
chance.
NASA.
Yeah. Slim and none, and Slim just left town, and Snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah, all those little cliches.
But the point is that I think Spielberg has a real interest. I mean, obviously, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T. This will be his third. Yep. In the trinity of, so he has a real interest. And by the way, we just watched something Steven Spielberg directed, one of his very first projects. It was a Columbo episode, Murder by the Book. Gotta love
That was
Columbo.
so good. Jim and I have decided, this probably should have been more behind the scenes, but we'll give it to you all. We're going to watch a Columbus episode every week now.
Not Columbus, Columbo.
Columbo, sorry. I told you. No good today. Dar is no good. Okay.
Yeah. I hope it's okay. I am going to be on the Columbo Confab podcast.
Oh, so cool.
Coming up soon. And they'd asked me which episode I wanted, and I picked that one. And part of the reason was because Spielberg directed it, and it was excellent. And the funny thing is that some people. Yeah, Stephen Bochco was writer, executive producer. I can't remember. I think executive producer on that.
Producer, I think so.
But the point is that I looked it up afterwards, and it's like many people consider that the top Columbo episode ever. So I chose well. But the point is,
and then that weird stuff with Jack Cassidy.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole, man. That was
not
bizarre.
Quite paranormal, but could be very conspiratorial.
Very eerie. Yeah, the guy David Cassidy's father, who died a few years later under very strange circumstances. But anyway, the point being that Hollywood will go where the money goes, and people are interested in UFOs. Thus, we're going to see a lot of UFO movies. But one thing we always see a lot of are people trying to cheat other people. And this was a very unique scam, but in the end, as always, crime does not pay. Tell us what happened. This is our weird news. We got to get like a weird news thing.
Get a little sound.
Yeah. But tell us our weird news story of the week. Is it
really weird? Well, I guess it's weird. It's
a little weird.
Quite ingenious, I guess. So a man, this is from USA Today, a man is accused of using taco seasoning packets to steal $40,000 from Target. There we go. So apparently, allegedly, he was Keith Wallace, 39 years old, was arrested after he allegedly engaged in an organized retail fraud scheme at a number of Target locations in Florida, I guess everywhere from like Miami to Orlando. He's charged with counts of felony, organized retail theft, 3 counts of felony dealing in stolen property, and 1 count of felony money laundering. Because what he did is he would grab large boxes of trading cards and an equal number of 99-cent taco seasoning packets. And he'd go to the self-checkout line and he'd only pay for the seasoning packets. And he would resell the stolen trading cards on eBay, and he got almost $40,000 in revenue. So they're still investigating. They suspect that he may have actually done additional thefts at Walmart and Publix in Florida as well. But he used he used 99-cent taco seasoning packets to kind of throw him off. Now, I don't know. Our Target allows only 10 items for self-checkout now.
Well, I think there's been a big shift.
And they're standing there.
You know, all these big retail chains, they thought, we're going to save some money. We're going to put all these self-checkout lines so we can get rid of all the cashiers and we can save a lot of money and make more profits. Well, it has backfired because the, what do they call it? Breakage. You know, in other words, people stealing stuff. Yeah.
Loss prevention.
Yeah.
That kind of,
They call it, I think they call it breakage. And anyway, the point being, you seem to doubt me, but I'm pretty sure they call it breakage.
Okay, no, I'm not doubting you. Oh my God. Okay, geez.
Anyway, Maybe I'm wrong. We'll look it up after the show. But anyway, the point is that these companies thought they were going to save all this money, and now they're backtracking on self-checkout simply because of the situation that people are stealing too much stuff. And, again, I don't think you should ever steal from anybody. I don't think you should steal from a rich person. I don't think you should steal from a poor person. But it's kind of ironic. They thought they were going to save all this money, and now, boom, they're getting kind of the opposite of it. And I still think there should be, here's why I feel. I think that you should have a couple, 2 or 3 self-checkout lanes, but I think the most of the lanes should be cashiers. I'm kind of old school that way. And it's funny because you will immediately go to self-checkout. If I have 2 or 3 things.
Because I was a cashier for many years. So
well, that helps.
I know what I'm doing.
If I have just a few things, if I have let's say a half a dozen things or less, I will go to self-checkout. If I've got more, it's like, I don't even want to bother. Let's just go through the
No, I'll go through the thing. Breakage generally refers to physical damage to inventory, while theft is intentional removal, but the terms are often combined as shrinkage.
That's the word. That's the word. So.
Also a very good show if you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I'm behind.
And Seinfeld. There was shrinkage.
Excellent episode, yes. But that's actually weird news. But anyway, yeah.
There was shrinkage.
No, I worked as a cashier, but also you have, some cashiers aren't so on the up and up either. And when I was in high school, one of my fellow cashiers was caught doing some thieving using coupons.
Well, and now I think they have so many cameras and so forth.
They had a camera above her. We did not know that there were cameras watching us until that happened. Which they could have watched me all they wanted. I didn't do anything.
Well, that's the point. Why
would I do that?
Just be honest. Just be honest. It's easier.
Why would I do? Well, that's why there were people that liked coming in my line because I was quick and I would bag their items appropriately, like not putting bread on the bottom or eggs like on the bottom and stuffing sugar on top of the eggs. But but there are other people that didn't like me because I was a stickler about coupons. I'm like, oh, that's expired. Can't use that one. Oh, you didn't buy this. Oh, they hated me for that. And I'm like, what? Well, I follow rules and laws, and I'm sorry, you didn't buy it. I'm not going to give you 25 cents off. And I know people will say, well, it's only 25 cents. I don't care. You didn't buy it.
That's right. That's right.
So they went to the other girl's lane, and then she got fired, and then they were stuck.
Good for you. Good for you for standing up for your morals. That's part of the reason you're an outstanding person, an upstanding person. That's why.
No, whatever. People are saying no.
People are saying you see, you almost got through a whole episode without one invitation, but you had to do it. I don't know why you do. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. It's
huge. It would have been huge.
It would have been huge. I wouldn't do it.
Work on it.
People are saying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
they say that I'm the best ever. Nobody's ever been better. I don't know why, but go ahead.
The rest are losers.
The rest are losers.
We have fun with all your impressions.
Yeah.
You got to get some more. We only have Shaggy and Jerry Lewis. Your Obama's not great. What else? Who else do you do?
I'm slipping. I don't know that I do many.
You do your mom, and I do my dad.
Yeah.
But nobody knows that. So
that's true.
But people that knew my dad think I'm like spot on.
Yeah, you got it. Well, that is yet another paranormal report in the can. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, make sure to check out, I'm not even going to bring it up on screen because it'll come up with some weird thing, but our virtual campfire group. We just, we'll talk about the Plus Club in a minute, but the virtual campfire group is great. People are sharing their stories. It is absolutely free. I'm kind of rededicating myself to getting more involved over there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Things have kind of calmed down a little bit. I'm going to get more involved over there as well. And Dara is very involved. She's there.
I put a poll
every day.
Today. This will be for tomorrow.
So if you want to interact with Dara, because I know Dara is the show and everybody wants to interact with Dara, virtualcampfiregroup.com. Virtual campfire group. I'm just,
I'm just repeating.
I'm repeating.
We're going to have fisticuffs later. No.
I'm just repeating. People are saying that's what people
are not saying.
Dara is the show. She's the whole show.
I am not.
We appreciate you being a part of the Paranormal Report today. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, stay safe and stay spooky. Bye-bye.
Bye.